In the past 2 hours, the Utopia performance at the pyramids has gotten cancelled yet again, and then reconfirmed by Travis. What's up with all this up and down with the pyramids performance is what I'm going to go over today, so let's jump straight into this. If you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe and become part of this community. Oh, and also go cop that fresh merch and listen to my new songs in the description. Real quick, if you don't want to listen to this, make sure to skip 10 seconds into the future, but you can sign up for my free newsletter with the first link in the description. It comes every Sunday and details everything that's been happening in hip-hop over the past week, so make sure to do that. So the whole pyramids performance for Utopia has obviously been subject to a lot of discussion. I kind of commented on all of this while it was happening. We had it announced first, then for the 25th, then it got moved to the 28th of July, which is now the release date. Then we had local authorities, the musician syndicate, canceling this thing because it was going against Egyptian culture and heritage, and they didn't want that to happen there. But then we got the news that they don't even have the authority to decide that this should be canceled. So apparently everything was still good, but then there was something to this, because then Travis composed this whole letter that I went into in detail in the last video, where he was explaining himself and wanting them to reconsider having his performance held there, because apparently they did have some authority to decide over what was happening there. And over the past 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, we've gotten so much news from this getting canceled to having new locations in Egypt and also other locations around the world that we're going to take a look at, because it's pretty interesting. So as I said, the last update that we had was that Travis sent out this letter from Cactus Jack officially to the musician syndicate or to some government officials in Egypt, begging them to have him still perform at the pyramids, because this was so important to him and they had months of planning put into this. And if they couldn't access the site at the pyramids by July 20th, I believe, 5 p.m. Cairo time, they wouldn't be able to make the date on the 28th. Apparently, they didn't make it. I was wondering over the past couple of days ever if they did make it, but today we actually had the official press release from Live Nation, so the organizer of this event, that this actually didn't happen. This is what they said. This is the official press release from Live Nation, so the logistics carrier and kind of organizer of this whole event. They said, "We regret to inform you that the Utopia show originally scheduled for July 28th at the Pyramids of Giza in Egypt is cancelled. Unfortunately, despite highest efforts, complex production issues meant that the show could not be constructed in the desert. We understand that this news is disappointing and not the outcome any of us desired. Refunds will be issued to all ticket holders at their point of purchase. We sincerely apologize for any inconvenience this cancellation may have caused and appreciate your understanding. We remain committed to bringing exceptional live performance to fans and hope to have the opportunity to do so in the future, blah blah Live Nation." So they're saying due to, and this is interesting, due to complex high effort production issues that they couldn't do this. I'm guessing maybe it was just someone on the national level blocking this. Now they're saying that the ticket holders will get refunded, but this is interesting because obviously we talked about this so much. I've had people come at me personally and were very mad at me personally for spreading fake news by saying that this was canceled. Well, it's now canceled, so it kind of took a turn now. But what I thought about immediately was like, okay, so the ticket holders, the people that bought tickets, they get refunded, that's okay. But there were so many people and so many of y'all that I talked to in the comments on Instagram especially that booked flights to Egypt to see Travis because they're such big fans and they wanted to see that performance. And what about those people? They can't all refund those flights. Well, actually, we actually got some information from the emails that got sent out to ticket owners. That's pretty interesting because it's a pretty, long email that goes into all the explanations why this, got canceled and that they're so sorry and they're going to bring better performances. But in one part, they say the Nike and Jordan teams are on the ground in Cairo and they are working on a backup plan to provide you and your guest with an experience in Cairo should the concert not happen as planned. And if you would prefer not to travel, just let us know and we'll work to get you home as soon as possible. So they're actually on the ground trying to get everybody still some performance that they can attend in Cairo or the near, location there, and that they should get the people home. Now, what I find interesting is that this email is addressed with Hello Utopia crew, so I'm not sure if those are official people, so some VIP that got invited, or if this email got sent out to everybody, every single normal person that bought a ticket. If any of y'all got, another email, let us know in the comments just to get everything cleared up. But I think this was a pretty fair way to do it. But still, obviously, it's a lot of hassle for having this just canceled. But apparently, they're looking at different locations in Cairo itself to have this thing performed, which is obviously not as big and not as good as having that at the pyramids, especially also with the whole promotional imagery of the Circus Maximus movie with the desert and with the pyramids and stuff like that. But still, it's something. Travis also went on Twitter, which I also found pretty interesting, and tweeted out a couple of things. First of all, this was only an hour ago at the point of recording this. He tweeted out, Egypt at the pyramids will happen, and this was after all the news that I just showed y'all. But due to demand and detailed logistics, they just need a bit time to set lay on lands. I will keep you posted on a date, which will be soon. Love you all. So he's saying that the performance at the pyramids is actually happening at a later date. He's also saying due to demand and detailed logistics, which to me is kind of like, okay, so they just couldn't access the site, early enough. But they're kind of using some fancy word for this, detailed logistics, which just means they couldn't get in there in time. But he says that it'll happen at a different date, which could mean that we're still going to get a performance at the pyramids, which of course is not as great as on the day of release, and I think Travis knows that, and I think Travis knows that that obviously takes away from a lot of the hype maybe it also adds to it because we're talking about it so much, but I think he's probably really mad at this, but he still wants to release his album, so that's why I did that. Another tweet was, but in good news, I had 4 more of these types of experiences in other places, coordinates soon, reach. So he's saying that there are 4 other places, maybe in Cairo, maybe in Egypt, maybe around the world, where he was going to have those performances, which I think is pretty cool, which opens up a lot of, different possibilities for him to do this. I mean, there were some theories that he's going to perform the album at all, 7 wonders of the world or something like that, which would be crazy. The pyramids were one of those, but I don't think that's going to happen specifically, but I think something like that where he's going to take historic, maybe really crazy places that he can perform this album at, give it some background, give it some context in that sense, and then have it performed there. I think it's going to do something like that, and I think that's going to be pretty legendary too. And maybe if he has the time after the album release to stretch out those performances, they're going to bring him a lot more value, a lot more monetization options than just having it on the day of the release. I always found that pretty weird because none of the people know the songs yet. Even if it's later on in the day, you need some time after an album release to know the songs, to know what you're rapping to. So it always kind of seemed weird to me that he did it on the same day. So maybe this is a blessing in disguise, but still, I think that, this was a whole up and down. In the end, it now got canceled. So yeah, it wasn't fake news. It was just a bunch of weird information at different times. But let me know what y'all think about this, though. Do you think this is a blessing in disguise, as I just described? What do you think are the real reasons for this? Because I don't think it's just detailed logistics or whatever. And where do you think those 4 other locations are? That could be a very interesting thing to discuss. So everything that you got on this, please let me know in the comments down below. If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media, and most importantly, join my Discord in the description. Until the next one, you'll have an incredible day, and y'all take care.